Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and this is late. It was meant to be Friday's video, but yeah. Anyway, let's skip all the babble talk and everything about what happened here. Let's just get into the videos. Uh, I wanted to make this video because we've seen a growing torrent of hate. It doesn't matter who it is, but there has been a growing torrent of hate that must be stomped out. The embers must be extinguished. And people need to see the evil for what it is. There are multiple groups of hate. The most common ones you'll see are based on racial hate, whether they are anti-Semitic, anti-African American, especially in the U.S. The U.S. has a high history at anti-Native American, common to see, but you'll see groups like the 3%ers, both Canadian and American. They're far right. It advocates gun ownership rights and resistance to the U.S. federal government. So it still believes it's fighting a type of American Revolution. And they take their name that the active forces in the field against the king's tyranny never amounted to more than 3% of the colonists. Which, if you know anything about the American Revolution, there were a lot of still very considered themselves British citizens, and there were a lot who wanted no part on either side. Now, it could have varied. It probably was a little higher, but you wouldn't have seen a high percentage that fought. But, yeah, essentially, that's where they get their name from. So they still think they're in a revolutionary war. They won another revolutionary war. Yeah. KKK, of course, been around since at the end of the Civil War. Fighting against the freedom of the freeing of the slaves. So slaves had just gained their freedom, and yeah, there were those who were like, no, that ain't gonna happen. We're gonna make it as painful on them as possible. So yeah, again, another right-wing terror group. You'll notice most of the hate groups tend to be right-wing terror groups. Proud Boys. Yeah. An exclusively male North American far-right neo-fascist militant organization that promotes and engages in political violence. Yeah. They are known for opposition to the left-wing and progressive groups and for their support of former U.S. President Donald Trump. All about letting him take over, treating him as a god king and such and such and such. These are the kind of idiots that would suck his dick happily. Patriot Front. Yeah. an American white supremacist and neo-fascist hate group, part of the alt-right movement that had split off from the neo-Nazis group Vanguard America after the 2017 Unite the Right rally. You remember the nuts who decided they were going to march through Charlottesville with tiki torches? Those morons. So yeah. And then, neo-Nazism in general, which is essentially taking the ideation of Nazi Germany and refashioning it for a modern world, for hate and evil. Yeah, these are the kind of groups that right now are causing so much of an issue. And that's why I always try to explain to people, the troops that fought in World War II are Antifa. Whether you like the group or not, if you fought against the Nazis and the Italians of World War II, you're Antifa. Because that's exactly what it fucking means. Anyway. Yeah. Now, some of the more well-known deaths they have caused. Emmett Till, boy from Chicago, travels down to Mississippi, accused of whistling at a white woman, Carolyn Bryant, and he ends up being abducted, tortured, lynched, and murdered. And his killers essentially get off scot-free. Because it was that time in history. It didn't matter that he was a human being. He wasn't white, and he was in the South, the deep, deep South. Yeah. It's a disgrace what happened. Honestly. Things like this should have never happened. But the little pussies, the racist shits, decided we're going to teach this 14-year-old a lesson. When they lynched and murdered the child for an accusation that is even suggested may not have even happened. It's disgusting. Another one. This one is a more recent one. I was in my senior year of high school, graduating from high school when this happened. The lynching and murder of James Byrd Jr. he was drugged behind a truck. I shall leave out any mentions of the gruesomeness of what happened, but yeah, that's all I need to tell you. Lynched and murdered by, again, the little racist pussies. Yeah. And then they have an article from last year talking about the 25th year remembrance of the racist murder. Now one that doesn't even have to do with racism. Laramie, Wyoming, a University of Wyoming student, beaten, tortured, and left to die. He would end up being taken to the hospital, but would die of his injuries. And as far as I'm aware, this took place in the same year as the James Byrd murder, the one we just talked about. This was the death of Matthew Shepard. I remember this one too, because again, both of those particular murders happened in my senior year of high school, or just after I had graduated. And it shows the evil that such individuals have within them. Thank goodness there was decent enough people that at least their murderers could be tried and found guilty. Yeah. It's just, it's wrong. So wrong. It really is. But yeah, I remember both of the incidents very well. Just because of how horrible they were. It disgusts me because I don't even believe in religion, but you hear these racist assholes, these fucking xenophobic shitheads proclaim their Christianity as a great, you know, belief system. Hey, dipshits, why don't you read your own religion? Because guess what? Jesus, as in your holy book, would have been against what you did 100%. But they don't care. They see it as an excuse, as an ability, as something they can push back with. It's just one of the tools they see available to them. But yeah. And there's countless others, but these are moments that stick out in my mind. After 9/11, there were so many hate crimes. People who weren't even Muslim were attacked. And many of them murdered. I remember Sikhs got a bad rap because they're the ones who wear turbans, not Muslims. Sikhs are Indian people with a traditional religious head wrap. But that's enough for the stupid, racist, xenophobic dumb dicks because they don't have enough brain cells to be like, yep, that signifies it right there. Uh-huh. Strong. But whatever, there is so much evil. And then, we get to more of the LGBTQ people. This particular article was from this year, 2024. Transgender people being killed at an alarming rate, especially in the South, because of this transphobia bullshit that's being spread by right-wing dickheads. This is from The Advocate. And as always, I'm going to leave these articles in the description box for people to read. From NPR, 2022, after the Club Q shooting, drag queens, not even necessarily LGBTQ plus. Some of them just enjoy performing. But after the Club Q shooting, drag queens say they're upping security measures. Again, and it's part of the fear bullshit on the part of right-wing dumb fucks. And another one from The Advocate. 57 trans Americans killed in 2021. This was an article from 2022. It was the most in any one year up to that point. I don't know if it's been surpassed or not, but yeah. 2020 had broke a record of 44 LGBTQ plus murdered. 2021 had 57, shattering that record of 44 from just the year before. And again, it's born out of hate, stupidity, idiocy. It's ridiculous. Here is an article from the Southern Poverty Law Center showing state murders, which groups do the most. By group name, Patriot front leads by and far. Yeah. This is the pro Trump bullshit group. Yeah. Fuck you, motherfuckers. The tiki torch waving dipshits. Yeah. By and far the worst state, Texas. Had the most incidents. But it's populous in the deep, deep south. So yeah, it kind of makes perfect sense. Next is my own home state, Virginia, which is fucking embarrassing. You know, I live in an area where I know some of these racist shits. And my father has told me often about times when, before I was born, there were KKK and groups like that all around. Luckily, they're not prominently visible, but yeah. You have other states that are pretty prominent. Pennsylvania, think Philly and Pittsburgh on each side of the state, and then in between, there's a wide swath. New York, again, populous, populous, populous. The more population you have, the more chance things are going to be horrible like that. Massachusetts, huge port city of Boston, and then the rest of it's fairly rural as you go west in the state. California, again, populous, populous, populous. The most populous state in the country. And it's high up there on a lot of these instances. People think California, they think, oh, it's left, it's left. It don't matter how left the state may or may not be. If the population is so large, you're going to have these instances. And then you get smaller instances. State of Washington, Seattle, and then the rest very rural. Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people may think of Oregon and Washington as very left, and but that's really only in the cities of Portland and Oregon and Seattle and Washington. Outside the eastern sides of the two states get very rural. Northern California gets very right wing. Yeah. Honestly, the two parties are not representative of Americans. Your Democrats and Republicans, both parties are shit and don't count for a damn thing in America. It's ridiculous. But yeah, give you some information on the map and how to use it and stuff. But yeah, you have a state by state breakdown and then a change over time, 2018 through the end of 2023. You can see how small it was. And then about 2019, yeah, from that point, it went batshit insane. The racist fucks came out of the fucking woodwork. And honestly, in the decades later, when history is written, many Americans very much may look on this as a disgusting period in American history. Just, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to talk to y'all about that a bit. Like I said, this is Friday's video, so I apologize for being late with them, but yeah, here we are. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting my links and sources in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.